I am your fantastic host, Angie Manfredi. I'm the Youth Services Consultant for the State Library of Iowa. As per usual, I include a delightful picture, and today the delightful picture is that I am pleased to tell you that as of this morning, my husband, that's William there, my husband and I are fully vaccinated. Today is the 2-week day since we got our second dose. And so today we are fully vaccinated. Woo, woo, woo. It's a party. I hope that all of you are able to access doses if you can. And now it's open to everybody in Iowa. But this is 2 weeks ago when we went into a grocery store for the first time in a year. And it was to get our vaccines. And we took a picture because naturally my mother was not going to believe that we were vaccinated until I could prove it to her. So we sent this and our cards to her, but I'm not showing the cards to you. This is my contact information. You'll see it again at the end, although I hope all of you at this point, after 2 years, can know how to get in touch with me, a year and a half. So this is my contact information. It'll come up again at the end. What we're up to, as per always, you know I like a good what we're up to. We're going to do a very brief overview and reminders of what we're here and things to tell you about today. Very brief. We're here for 2 hours, and literally the majority of the 2 hours you're going to be in rooms together. I know you are all so sick of my voice. I completely understand how sick you are of my voice. However sick you are of my voice, I am sicker of it. Okay. I promise you this. So I am not going to be talking this entire time. We're going to do a very brief overview. Then I have a surprise. It's the reason Emily is here today. We did something really cool this year. I haven't said anything about it to anybody. So you guys are going to get to see it first. And it's super exciting and you're going to really like it. We're going to do that. I'm really excited about it for you to see it. Okay. We're going to do the fun extras. And then I've broken this down into ages 0 to 6, 7 to 12, 12 to 18, and all ages / family programs. I'm going to give you a couple ideas, then we're going to go into a breakout room. We're all going to be talking about 0 to 6 at the same time. We're all going to be talking about 7 to 12 at the same time. We're all going to be talking about 12 to 18, and we're all going to be talking about all ages and family programs. That's the scaffold that we're going to have our discussions on, instead of just randomly going into rooms with each other and being like, what are you programming? What's the fun program you have planned? That's the kind of scaffold I came up with. I feel like I've just done a very bad job explaining how that's going to work. So if you want clarification on how that's going to work, Marianne or Becky will probably do a better job explaining it to you in the chat. But don't worry, it's the same thing. My husband and I play a lot of board games, as some of you know, and he loves to go over all the rules. And I'm the kind of person that's like, let's just start playing and it'll make sense when we get into it. And it does. I'm always right. We don't need to spend 40 minutes with the explanation book. Once you get started, it all makes sense. I think that's a very youth services thing. But at any rate, that's what we're up to today. So let's get on with it. First, this is our friendly, gentle reminder. I want to put out at the beginning, this is a summer like no other. And I mean that it's not even like it was last summer. We knew a lot less last summer. We were trying out way more stuff that we didn't know if it was going to work last summer. We were still experimenting with tons of stuff last summer. We had no idea. We are in much firmer ground. I know it doesn't feel that way, but we are on much firmer ground now than we were last summer. And so that's kind of the first thing, that this is a summer like no other. Our programs might not all look the same. And I also want to say that I want to acknowledge, especially when we get into the conversations, that some of us are going to have different situations from community to community. Some of us are going to have different, well, this is what we can't do that. My board says we can't do this. And we understand that. And we're not trying to say that there's one way that every library should program or look or do this. But what we're trying to do here is share what best practices are so that we can adapt them for what works for our communities and what works for where our libraries are right now. So we have to do what's best for our libraries and our community and our staff levels, our staff comfort levels, all of that. So we're not here trying to say this is the one single recipe that's going to work for everybody. We're going to share with each other. We're going to brainstorm with each other. We're going to hear what other people are doing, and we're going to do what we can with what we have where we are. And I hope, if nothing else, that was one of the lessons you got from last summer and that you'll be able to carry it forward in this summer. I want to give these out in a shout, and I would love to hear from you from the chat if any of you have watched these. Alaska, California, and Illinois, among other states, not just those, but Alaska, California, and Illinois are all also doing Reading Colors Your World, and each of their versions of like the state library kind of have made these summer reading showcases that is at least several librarians, at least 2 librarians in the case of Illinois, but really librarians from all over California and Alaska already talking about programs. And they all are going to tell you a million times better programs than anything I'm going to tell you today. So you should watch these. If you have not watched these, please check them out. And I would love to hear in the chat if some of you have already seen them. If you've already watched one of these, if you want to give a shout out to them, someone shouted them out on the Library Talk, and I love that. And so if you have not watched them and you're still looking for ideas, or you want to hear directly from other librarians, these are all great. I also would encourage you to subscribe to the I Read newsletter. And when you have great ideas, or when you have a program that goes great, I would encourage you to submit it so that you can share it with the other librarians. And way back at the beginning of this, I made a giant Google Doc, which is a COVID idea swap. It's like 30 pages. I continue to add to it, although I am behind, but I'm going to work on it. And it has tons of examples. It has printables. It has craft ideas. It has other librarians doing story times. It has scavenger hunts and outdoor. It has 30 pages of information. What permissions of what you have to read, how do you editing software, tons of stuff. It is still available and active. I really encourage you to check it out. So those are some don't forgets. Along with this, don't forget, iRead has also made a public service announcement. It's in your files, but also if you can share it on your YouTube page. If you have a public access channel, you can put it out to it. And it's a summer is coming public service announcements, pre-recorded. It's super cool. The store. If you want to order by the store, you have to order by May 1st for June 1st delivery, and you might want to order even sooner than that. Again, I would love to hear in chat, and I hope it'll come up in the breakout rooms. Those of you that have ordered things from the store, we'd love to hear from you on that. And here's the last thing. I'm hoping that by now, all of you have redeemed the code for the reading guide and the graphics, all the fun graphics that you see here. If you have not done that, if you have not redeemed your code, now is the time to do that. Access to the manual this year and going forward is going to be digital. So you are going to get a code, and then you are going to download it and do whatever you want for it. Here's one version of mine. It's on this flash drive that I have with me, one that's on my keychain. So if you have not redeemed the code and downloaded the resource guide and graphics, now is the time to do that. And again, I'd like to hear from you in chat. If you have not downloaded it, if you feel like you lost the code, please send me and your LRT an email. We can work on it from there. But now is the time to have downloaded it. And now you'll see. This is the fun part. Are you ready for the fun part? I feel like you're ready for the fun part. I'm moving this because I need to use my computer for real instead of having it up on a platform. You notice over in the corner that the thing I put to buy from the store are these cute little stickers. And you might say to yourself, like, why is that the thing you selected? First, I think they're super cute. They're little this size stickers, but it's also because I wanted to do something else fun this year. And so I'm stopping my share just for a minute so I can share in another way. I also am looking in the chat. The other way you can get to the COVID swap, it's linked on the youth services page of the website, and the state library also has a page of COVID resources, and it's there's a whole youth services page of COVID resources. So okay, I know, here it is. It's so exciting. Dun, da, da, da. Here's the surprise. The surprise is, as you guys know, I love to rip people off. The surprise is I love to rip people off. No, so last year, the Massachusetts State Library did this thing. And what they did was they made a bunch of Canva documents that were easily, I'm sorry, I got distracted because I'm trying to open it in my webpage. Emily, do you want to talk in chat for like 30 seconds while I open this up? Or you could even unmute and talk for like 20 seconds. You don't have to turn your camera on.
I am here. So we decided to put together some Canva templates for librarians to use to supplement your summer reading stuff. So I took the artwork that was in the graphics folder and incorporated them into a series of different items that you can use for summer reading. You can print them out in-house. You can partner with local printers to maybe have them printed. But we're really excited to provide these to you this year.
And there your voice is already going. So
I know. So I'm going to be quiet now. Thank you.
So this is related to the COVID document. This is, you're seeing my screen now? Yes. Yeah. So related to the COVID document, this is the youth services page on the State Library website right here. So you can see at the State Library of Iowa, this page is right here. This is the youth page. And if you go to the youth page, this is the youth services page right here. I'm still going with it. Everybody has seen my screen, so it's going great. And then right here, you see this page. First of all, as an aside, here's the coronavirus page where I've linked to all the stuff we did during coronavirus, including we have a whole homeschool docs, whole thing. But also right here, so if you go to the summer library program, okay, there's information about the summer learning programs, et cetera, et cetera. And then here's the Canva templates. And so for those of you that are not familiar with it, Canva is free. Okay, you can get an upgraded account, but we have an upgraded account which let us create these templates. And once you make the templates, once you create an account, it'll let you download the templates. And so Emily has created these. They're so cool, you guys. All the other libraries who are doing this theme are already jealous of them and want to use them in other states. So I want to show you an example of what we're talking about. And this is this. So I'm clicking on the bingo boards first. So you can see, and it's saying right now, a template was created by Emily Boehner and was shared with you, and you want to start designing now. So you say, yeah, I want to use the template. And so what we created here was, again, Emily used all of this art that they provided for us. And all of these in here. So again, you see at the bottom, you can edit this using Canva. You can edit this and add in your library's name, information, logo. You can change it to be anything you want. We made one that has literally pre-filled out an activity log of things to do, not read this book, et cetera, et cetera. One, or a totally blank one where you can fill it in with all your own things. You can put in titles of books. You can do whatever you would like that are things specific. There's this one. There's this one using the undersea art. I love those octopus. Okay. And a blank one. I'm obsessed with this one because you guys know I'm obsessed with that picture of the kids holding up the books. Obsessed with it. A blank one. And then if you want a totally blank board that you can edit your own, you can put your own art. You can put the adult art in. You can put different art. You can do whatever you want, an editable one. Okay. So that's the boards. I know. That's the boards. But wait. She said in her salesman voice, there's more. I hope you're all excited about this. But wait, there's more, she said. Oh no, I've got like 8 different things open. Okay, so there's the bingo boards. But there's also, okay, I love these. Wait till you see these. Okay, the game boards. I told Emily game boards and she was like, you got to give me like real words. You're not saying real words. So here's the game boards. I'm obsessed with these. I think I'm going to print these out just to do like at my house on my own self personally. Okay. So the game boards we used after we talked about it, she used the crayons. This might be the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. And again, if you don't like that, you don't want this to be books, you could change it to read every day. You could change it to color this in if you do an activity every day. Color this in if you hop on one foot. Whatever it is, you can change it to be if you don't want it to be 20 books. If you want it to be 20 pages, if you want it to be 20 minutes, whatever. Okay, that's one. And then, oh my gosh, check this one out. This is read and color in. So this could also be read and share a book. You could make this be for 0 to 6. You can make this be for smaller, right? So you can make this be for the little kids. And every time you color in one of the hummingbirds and you bring it back. Okay. So great. It's so great. How great are these? Okay. That's the boards. The boards, the game boards. Then we also made, okay, wait, remember remember those little stickers I showed you? Remember them? And I was like, oh my gosh, these are so adorable. And it's going to make sense. Okay. It's because she made these. I'm laughing because I'm so delighted. Like it delights me so much. Like it delights me so much. Okay, these are cut outable bookmarks. Okay, they have the Drew Draywald art, the Herb Tulay art, the Juju Morales art, and the Zach Lerner art. And then on the back, you could stick the little stickers on there, or you could color it in. You could change it to say, instead of minutes read, it could be days read, or time spent with a book, or whatever you want. Whatever you want. You could make one. You could make this be for adults. You could make it be for all ages. This is literally what everybody gets. You could stick it in the bags. I love it. I'm obsessed with it. Also, imagine you had this and you gave them like 20 of the little stickers and told them, fill this out as you read. It's going to be so great. I am literally so enthused about this. I'm worried I'm going to fall over. So I'm going to show you just one more. And that's, we wanted something really simple. And that's these drawing slips. And the drawing slips are because I know a lot of you do drawings for all kinds of things over the summer. And so we made just a very, very basic drawing slip. It's black and white, so it won't take up a lot of color on your printer. We just specifically did that. And it's just using one of Juji's butterflies. But again, if you want to substitute it with any of the art, if you want to make it in color, because you're only going to print 30 of them, that's totally up to you, because all of these are editable. So Emily, is there anything major that I've forgotten about these? Are you enjoying what everybody is saying? Everyone, now's the time. But again, if you have questions with them, you can ask Emily. I have included her contact information. But again, you could say, I want to put these on cardstock. There's so many different options for them. And Emily is here in the chat. Emily, I'm talking over you. Please say anything you'd like to say.
No, I think you covered everything, Angie. The only thing I will add is that if you're not super confident in Canva, we have a link to there's also some tutorials and stuff. That's going to be your best bet for kind of getting more comfortable with using Canva. It's pretty easy. I think it has a pretty low learning curve, but that's another thing to check out too.
And we also, one of the things is you can't mess the masters of this up. You know what I mean? So what the good part about the template thing is even if you mess it up, it's not like you messed up the one that Emily and I have or whatever, or it's not like if Jessica does it, then it messed it up for Dawn. It's not going to work that way. So that's the other I want you to feel comfortable to just mess around with these. And if you want to change the size, you want to change the text on it. So that's the other really thing we want you to feel comfortable about, is that you don't have to feel like you're messing up the master or anything like that.
Yep. When you click that use template button, it basically creates a copy. So even if you screw up whatever you're working on, you can go back and click use template again, and it'll open up a fresh one for you. So
yeah.
Yes,
so don't feel nerves about that. But also Canva, we did try to make these as real simple. They're not like 800 layers in there. So, that's the other thing. If you feel like, oh, I really want to change one thing and I messed it up. Oh no, I ruined it. You can start all over again. And again, I stole this idea from Massachusetts. It wouldn't have been possible without Emily. And I just, so much of this was her own creativity, and I'm so grateful to her. And Emily has not experienced being a public youth services librarian, so she does not understand what a significant time saver this is going to be for so many of us. And so that's the other reason I wanted her here, so that you could try to explain them. The stickers are for sale in the iRead store, but they were literally just an example. You could tell them to just color them in. You could buy dots, you could buy stars, you could buy anything, whatever. I just thought they were cute, and they literally do not have to go with those. That's the other great thing about it, is there's so much different possibilities in there. So ta-da. We can't wait to hear from you about them. We'd love to hear about this year. I didn't make any, we tried to avoid making things this year that might encourage lots of visits. Like come to the library and get this stamped every day. because this didn't feel like the summer for that. But as we go forth in future summers, there might be more. And wait, there's still more, because one of the things I want to point out about this, I'm going back to sharing my screen. And again, this is the page on the State Library's website. It's the youth services subpage. And then there's the summer library program. But one of the things I want to point out about this is the surprise. Ta-da! I hope you like it. I hope you're pleased. Emily and I were pleased with ourselves for coming up with it. But the other thing is this, and this is what I really want you to think about. You can use this year round. Because here's the thing about this art. So this art from iRead, you have this forever. So in 15 years, if you want to use that color, your reading colors your world sheet, and you want to take all the information off it and just hand it out at the desk, you can do that. You can use this forever. So I want to put that forward too, that if you're like, oh, I already bought things, or I already know what I'm going to do for summer, but I would love to use that color sheet in November, you can do that. You can use it at any time. Oh, I really like it. I really think that's cool, but I want to do that in January of 2022. You can do that. This is year-round stuff. So how cool is it? I think it's super cool. I love it. And I hope you guys will too. And I hope it'll save you some time. And I hope that it will be useful, and that you'll also get some, you'll get some ideas from Canva itself with it. And again, this is a link. So that is a link. You'll get it when you get this slide deck, but you can also navigate it to it on the State Library website at any time. And yes. And that's the other thing too, that Emily mentioned. All of this artwork, the State Library, because we're iRead libraries, you can use any of this. If you like these crayons better than another one and you want to put them on, if you see some art on here that you like, you can use any of the art that is with the reading guide. You can use on these Canva templates, or you can use in Canva to make other things like signs and other bookmarks and anything like that. You have the ability to do that with this art, which is another big bonus of iRead, and one of the reasons we switched to iRead from CSLP. Okay, let's do this. Are you ready? That was enough hype. I'm so hyped. I'm not. It wasn't enough hype. I'm going to talk about it forever. And I just want to point out that we have not breathed a word about that to anyone. Nobody knew about that except for State Library people. And most of them just found out about it like yesterday, except for Emily and I, like conspiring on our own. And you guys are the first people to hear about it or show it. And it's like the secret of attending these. So congratulations, you have found out about them before everybody else in the state. Okay, 0 to 6, let's roll. I'm going to start all these off talking to you about a couple books I think are great for programming, because you all know me, and there is literally nothing we've ever done that I can't find a way to relate to books. It's the core. I'm going to come to it no matter what we're doing. If any of you have ever talked to me, you know that within 2 seconds of conversation, the phrase, this reminds me of a book is going to come up. So this reminds me of a book. These are some books for 0 to 6 I think have really great program potential. This is My Colors, My World by Maya Cristina Gonzalez. This is also, I'm going to tell you also about some titles that might be a little bit older, that might not be included in the bibliography, but I do want to point out, and I'll say this again, if you have not opened the resource guide, there is a chapter that's a bibliography. It's literally like 20 pages. If you haven't seen it because you used to think the bibliography was useless, I want to point out that this year, one of the things they did was they rounded up books, both picture books and then YA books and adult books, that have colors in the title, that have colored covers. So if you're looking for you want to do a bunch of green book displays, they have a list of books with green covers. They have a list of books with orange in the title. This is one of the books that's in the guide. This is only available in paperback. It's an older title. I think it would be great for a story walk. It is a very basic bilingual color book with very strong graphics. That little bird follows her on every page. I think it would be great for a story walk. I also think it would be very great for intro story times, and it's fully bilingual, but in a really clear cut, not dialogue heavy way. One of my favorites. I've done this in Storytime about 8,000 times. I've done this in Storytime so many times, I feel like I have it memorized. This is a board book. Here's another great thing about being able to share books virtually. You know how sometimes it's hard to do board books in Storytime? It is not that hard to share board books virtually. So if you're doing a non-recorded closed program, you don't have to worry about permissions. This is Pride Colors by Robin Stevenson. It's a board book. And especially if you're doing something in June for Gay Pride Month, this is a book. It's a rainbow color book, but it's all about the colors in the gay pride flag. It's super cute. And I'm generally kind of biased about it because I know this author and she was like, I'm trying to write a board book and I can't figure out what it should be about. And I was like, oh my gosh, it would be fun if you did it about the pride flag. And then she did it like a million times better than I said. So I love when that happens. And it's super cute. It's a little bit newer. It's again, really short, really great for small, shorter story times. Another board book, really love this series. This is Play with Paint and its companion Play with Clay from a brand new board book called Little Smarties. This is an amazing, she takes pictures of the colors. She talks about shades. It's about color mixing. Again, it would be really hard to share this with a small group of kids, but doing it on a computer, I think it'd be super easy. Also, if you're just looking for some new board books, this Play with Paint and Play with Clay, they're really great. And I hope there'll be a lot more in this series. I hope this is you can see the series is called Little Smart Teas. And I hope it'll be the beginning of a series. Oh man, I wish that I was still doing story times and also that we were doing story times in person and also that I could see children's faces, but that's this whole like chain of wishes. This is Who Eats Orange by Diane White and Robin Page. This is what I would call a Storytime gold book. Because it's Storytime gold. There's so much to discuss with it in children. You all know that I'm a huge fan of talking in Storytime with kids and letting kids be real active participants in Storytime. And this book really encourages it. Who Eats Orange? It asks the kids to ask the animal, say what animals they see. It asks them to say who eats what, and it's a color book. Who eats orange? Who eats green? Who eats red? What animal is that? What kind of food are they eating? Can you think of other things they might eat? I love books that ask kids questions and get them to talk back to you. And I think that is still really effective, even if like, say you're only doing things digitally or if you're doing them together in small groups. I think this one is really great. So those are some books. Again, we're about to break into a group to start discussing what we have planned or asking each other questions. I know that a lot of us are thinking about outside programming. I want you, especially for this 0 to 6 cohort, now is the time to start thinking about using things like parachutes, hula hoops to mark off space, but also to keep them active. A stretchy band, if you've never seen this, it is literally like a giant scrunchie. It literally is an enormous scrunchie. It's expensive, but it's worth it. It's great physical play, and it can also keep them apart from each other. The color mats are up there in the right. I'm a huge fan of those color mats. They're expensive. The ones that I've listed are from Lakeshore Learning. They're $50, but they are thick plastic. I had them at the last library I worked at, and I mean, I literally put them down in the snow and they lasted. And you can set these up in a park. You can set them up if you have space in your library. You can set them out in front of your library. Because they're that heavy plastic, they stand up to weather. You can say, we used to say, okay, jump from red, jump from shape, jump from circle to circle, circle to square, make a pattern of circle, square, star. There's so many options with these. So things that keep them moving and outside. And I want to advocate to all of you right now to consider purchasing a voice amplifier or some other kind of system. And this is one that's pictured on Amazon. You can get them for like $30, or you can spend more and invest in a sound system. I think that's worth considering. No person in the world, and I'm including me, and I am the loudest person you know. I guarantee it. I'm the loudest person you know. No person, teacher voice is not a real thing. I know you've heard that. It is not a real thing. We are only humans. We cannot scream the entire length of a park. Also, it's an accessibility issue. There might be parents, there might be grandparents, there might be children with hearing issues, and having voice amplifiers and other technology like this not only saves your voice, but makes all of your programs easier. So I really encourage you, look up. I'm not going to tell you which brand to buy because I don't know what your needs are, but I'm going to really encourage you to advocate looking up voice amplifiers. If some of you have already bought a voice amplifier or a sound system that's portable, that you like, we would love to hear from you in the chat. We would love to hear from you in our groups. But now is really the time to think about one, not just because you might be doing things outside screaming to a park group, but also because they're useful all the time. I want to really encourage you to use this color game. This is great for this age group. This is directly from the manual on the left side. In my yellow box are many yellow things. What could they be? Would you like to see? And then you have some clip art and it's a duck, and you hold the duck up and you say, I have something that goes quack. It has feathers on its back. They guess duck. You hold up duck. Good work. This is another thing that can be done with a really big crowd. It's another thing that can be done effectively online because you don't have to worry about copyrights. It's a game that you can play that doesn't involve you having to hold up a book while you're wearing your mask. I think it's really adaptable. And on the right is Little Mouse, the greatest game of all time. Little Mouse, are you in the blue house? You pull up the blue house. They're not there. Where could they be? Anything that engages children and having that conversation with you, I think it's really adaptable to bigger felt boards, to not having to hold things up. It encourages that kind of conversation about color. That's really what we're looking for, is that dialogue. So color guessing games are really great for this age cohort. It's also really right about where they are developmentally, so it works really well for that. And now we're getting ready to break into our small groups, but first we're going to do Bubble Bubble Pop. It's one of my favorites. And again, so many great color songs for this age. So for those of you that don't know Bubble Bubble Pop for Little Fishy, you can adapt it in any way, but it's a great color song. And it basically goes like this, which is, if you know it, you can feel free to sing on your own with it. Okay. It goes, I'm going to use green to start with. We're going to say, one green fish was swimming in the ocean, swimming in the ocean, swimming in the ocean. One green fish was swimming in the ocean. Bubble, 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 bubble. Pop. What's another color, boys and girls? What is the color of my shirt? Maybe that fishy could be swimming. What comes after one? If one fishy was swimming, what will come next? Two. And what's the color of my shirt? Two red. Two red fish went. Classic. So adaptable. You could actually print out the fish. You could have color swatches. Again, the kind of thing that would be easy to have behind you. You could have a whole board with colors and have them pick. You could pick the color, have them name the color, and then sing the song. And this is linked. One of my all-time favorites. This is Roy G. Biv from They Might Be Giants. Roy G. Biv was a magical guy. If you're not familiar with Roy G. Biv by They Might Be Giants, I sing it literally so much, just like as a regular person, it has gotten stuck in my husband's head often. I'm not sorry. I love it. But it's great. So that's Roy G. Biv. It's a great song about color. It's easy to sing. It's fun to share. This age group is so great for color. There is so much that you can do with color. It's one of our fundamental story time concepts, and it really matches where they are developmentally. And I know that you all have tons to say. So Sam, do you want to explain how we're going to do breakout rooms?
Absolutely. Just a sec, Karen. Get my video on. So I've got 4 random rooms created. Hi, can you say hi?
Hey, buddy.
Okay.
Hey, bud. I hope you feel better.
Yeah, I hope your dad comes home soon. Okay, we've got 4 random rooms created. So I need to make sure that we get Becky in one room. And Marianne in another room. And I will be in room 4, okay? So you've got 15 to 16 people in each room. I'm going to put the phone information in chat one more time so that if you want to call in, you can do that. If you don't have access to a mic on your computer, you can use those dial-in numbers if needed. Because what we're going to be doing now is just sharing, what are you thinking for ages 0 to 6, right? What are you tentatively planning? We want to hear from as many people as possible so that we can all walk away with 1 or 2 or 3 more ideas that we can try. So I'm going to go ahead and open the rooms. Let's see.
And State Library staff is going to be in the room to kind of take notes, and they'll report back to everything you've come up with. I would love it if you talked about everything we've discussed, if you had ideas about the amplifiers, if you had things you already planned. Now is the time for you to really work together. This is one, if we were in person, we would do this in person and it would be so amazing, but we're going to try to recreate this here in virtual space. So right now we want to focus on 0 to 6 because we are going to have time to look at 7 to 12 and we're going to look at all that. Sam, we didn't talk about how long we should be in the rooms. But I'm thinking, like, are we saying like 11 or 12 minutes again? Does that work?
Let's do maybe 12 minutes.
Okay. And then if that's not too much or too long, Becky and Marianne, you can report back on what your thoughts are.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. If you haven't used a breakout room before, it's going to automatically move you into a room. Let's see. I think Marianne is room 1, Angie is room 2, Becky is room 3, and I'll be in room 4. So we've got about 15 people and we should have a good time. Okay.
Okay. It's going to be great.
Good deal. What you do, Ange?
Very bad. But it was cool. 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 Is everybody back? Are we all back?
We should all be back. And I think you come back into this space muted. So
I'll report back quickly on my group and then Becky and Marianne and you can all report on yours. I talk too much per usual and I ruin things for my group, but I hope we had a good time. One of the things that came up, we all mentioned we were into the hula hoop ideas. We thought maybe we could try buying them bulk from the Dollar Tree online. Sherry mentioned, and I love this, that she has a 7-year-old who likes to read to this group. And so when I mentioned the amplifier, she thought about using the amplifier with him so that, because he might be struggling with projecting, but he might want to share with the other kids. So I love that idea. And we all were drawn to the lawn, using lawns when we had lawns, and several people suggested doing a lawn twister with chalk. And we all really liked that. And we also talked about how chalk for this age group is really good for their hands developmentally, that this age group is really good with that thick chalk, sidewalk chalk. It's really good for their fine motor development. So for this age group, that fine motor development of using that heavy chalk not only would let them draw and like do things in front of the library on their own, but would also be good for their hand-eye coordination and their fine motor development. So some of the things we talked about. Becky, how about you?
We started off with a question with somebody who is new to doing things for this age group about the best time of day for that 0 to 6. Consensus seemed to be that morning time, 10 to 11. There was a lot of people who said that seemed to work the best. Something around there, 10:30 to 11:30 before lunch seemed to be a really good choice. We also talked about who would be doing things in person, and it sounded like there were a lot of people that were doing them in person. Most of those outdoors with social distancing, some with masks, some are doing a mixture. And some were kind of back to normal. The school system has been back to normal, so they're looking at doing things indoors like they've done in the past. There was one that was really interesting. They're taking sort of a healthy focus on this age group, and so they're doing hiking. They're doing pond discovery with the conservation. Lots of really cool ideas for that. There was some discussion about the voice amplifiers, so it looks like there might be some discussion on library talk. So I would encourage you guys, if you have done the research on voice amplifiers, if you would share that with everybody so we don't all have to do it on our own. I think that would be a really great help. So if you've done any of that research, we'd love to see some of that posted on library talk. And then just as we were getting ready to come back, we were talking about using parachutes and water balloons or the water-filled spongy things. And that sounded like a really fun outdoor program.
Lots of outdoor stuff. Okay, how about Marianne? I don't see your face, but I know you're
all right. I'm here,
there
and like Becky's group, we also had the question about best day of the week, and one of our really good experienced librarians said that you need to check with some of the local preschools because a lot of preschools only meet 4 days a week. So pick the 5th day when there is no preschool and offer something at your library, which is really good advice. But yes, like Becky's group, morning does seem to be the preferred time for working with young children. We also talked about the need to, from somebody who was brand new to this, the need to have a parent or guardian in the room when you're working with this age group, not only because you don't want to be stuck in a room full of 10 2-year-olds, but because you want to teach those parents and guardians the skills that you're giving to these kids, these early childhood literacy skills, learning about colors, learning about vocabulary. It's important that the parents understand that they can, and the caregivers can be working with these children on a daily basis. This is not just a once a week thing. So you do want to have a parent or guardian with those kids in the room. We also mentioned about sorting activities for kids. This is a great age level to learn sorting, whether that's colorful fruit, plastic fruit, which you can pick up at the dollar store usually, and sorting it into colorful bins, or sorting silk flowers. Make sure you remove the pointy stems from them, or using the little goldfish crackers, which now come in different colors, and sorting those into colorful goldfish colorful bowls that you would put on a printout sheet, maybe even making it more challenging for the slightly older kids by adding numbers with it, put 4 blue goldfish in the blue goldfish bowl, etc. And we talked about the importance of having an opening song and a closing song that you use each week, because that really gives some good routine for the kids. Plus it helps them memorize something too. So. And then we got cut off as we were talking about the discussion of in-person versus not. So
I would also say, for those of you that are brand new to this, please check out the endorsement module for 0 to 6 that I recorded about this. I cover a lot of this stuff in it. So if you are interested, there's tons of information about this. I would also say quickly, here's one of my favorites. My hands say hello. My hands say hello. With their friends at story time. My hands say hello. My ears say hello. My ears say hello. With my friends at story time. My ears say hello. Then you can change it to goodbye. Sam.
Hey, yeah, so we had a lot of one person library shops and small spaces and similar discussions to just trying to figure out how to get things outdoors when, there's pretty good attendance, but you don't want that attendance in your space necessarily. So partnerships with the extension and the naturalist groups and that sort of thing in the parks. Also bringing story time to the daycare kind of idea, since you can't get all those kids in your library, it's too far away to get there. So Martha shared that she was planning some different crafts to bring to the daycare. One of them, kind of a globe printout, and you're going to do some colorful hands and kind of have reading colors your world. And then that gets you to double duty as parade float decorations too. So that'll be fun. And then one book that came up in our group for this age was called Splatter. And the idea of doing maybe splatter painting as a sort of accompaniment to that, which could obviously work well outside, and place where you can hose people and supplies off. So I think some good ideas there. And we also shared, and it's just kind of a reality of small town programming, and we're all ABC libraries here, that it's hard to plan for a specific age group when maybe you only have a couple kids that age in your town. So I think we'll have a lot to say on all ages as well, but lots of fun stuff.
Yeah, and many of these ideas will come up in the other age cohorts, which is the perfect way to come back to our next cohort.
I do want to give one more idea, which we had, and I think works really well for this age group too, is sort of bilingual programming came up in our topic, because even if your Spanish is not fantastic, you could probably master the colors in both languages. And while it's ideal to be doing, speaking fully in English or fully in Spanish, or another language, whatever works best for your community, but having some bilingual elements is a really great option for this young group too. So
excellent. Okay, are we ready? 7 to 12. Here we go. Okay. So the books I'm kicking off with here, this is Doodleville by Chad Sell. It is a graphic novel. If you're not familiar with Chad Sell's work on Cardboard Kingdom, it's genius. But this is a graphic novel where the main character, her doodles come to life. And it's cool because she keeps them all in her doodle, in her journal, until they escape and they start destroying the other art in the other kids groups, and she has to learn how to apologize and make right for that. This age cohort for 7 to 12 in this theme, there is so much in it to consider for drawing, making comics, and creating art. There are really so many of them. They all love they love being creators right now. And so I think really that's kind of one of the angles I want to really sell for this. There's so many ways you can build activities out of that, including, if you're not familiar with this series, I'm obsessed with it. This is Maker Comics. There's one about how to bake. There's one about how to fix a car. There's one about how to grow things. And then there's this one, which is how to draw a comic. And this is a comic book about how to make comic books. So I love the hands-on element of this. I love, you could do something about this whole series of makers, but I love this specific thing, this tie to art, that you're reading a comic that can help you make a comic. And I think this can be the kind of thing that you can print out a bunch of comic templates and put them in a bag and be like, this is a make a comic kit. You can ask them to bring their comics back and make a whole comic over summer of every kid in town drew one. I think for this age cohort, 7 to 12, that self-expression is really important. So those are just two books that I think really look at drawing and art and creating and how that colors and shapes our world in a really interesting way. So those are two of the ones we looked at. And then I want to talk about the world concept for this age cohort. And I want to specifically talk about this. And again, this is a thing that we've talked about, and I want you to think for all of these. And I think Sam raised a great point about the libraries that you serve all ages. I want you to think about this, not just for 7 to 12, but for 12 to 18, for 18 and above. This is reading world literature for children, and tons of it exists. So, every year when they give out the Newbery, they also give an award, and they've been giving it out since 1966. 68 or 69 was the first year, called the Batchelder Award. And it is for the best children's work in translation. So it is the best children's work in translation from all over the globe. And it's picture books. 2 years ago, there was this YA book from Italy that was about this kid that the mob was after him. I didn't even know that was a thing. There's picture books from all different cultures. This idea of reading around the world, with the idea of actually reading books from another country. So the Batchelder book is for best translated. There's also this super cool thing called World Kidlit Month. There's a lady who's running a thing called Project Picture Book, and her goal is to read picture books from every continent and every country. And she's trying to read a picture book from every country. And I'm super into global literature. And so I love the Batchelder Award. I think there is nothing more revealing about a country than what they write for children. Like whatever their children's books are, I think is super revealing about a country. And I've read so many weird, great translated books. And I think that there's so much to spotlight for this age. I think you can approach even picture books with this age in a different way if you come at it like this. Brand new is the Global Literature and Libraries Initiative, which, by the way, if you're not familiar with the Global Literature and in Libraries Initiative, they're awesome. They do amazing work spotlighting global literature. And they have come up with this translated YA book prize. It's only a couple of years old, but they even make a short list, right? So there's like so much stuff. And I think like this idea of not just we're going to read a book set in England, okay? We're going to read a book set in Britain, okay? We're going to read a book set in China, okay? But what are they writing in those countries? I think there's a real opportunity. I think this could be a family program. Again, I want you to think of ways you could scale all of them. So that's one idea. Also this, I love this. We used to do at my library, the lunch bunch, where we would invite kids in this age cohort, 7 to 12, to come in, and I would read them a chapter book or a short story every week while they ate. And I think this is perfect for an outdoor program. Bring your lunch to the park, and we'll have everything there to pick it up, and I will read you one chapter of a book. I have my handy voice amplifier here, and you can run around and play afterwards. You might remember this Thursday, we're doing a webinar on how you can have summer food service at your library. So you might want to think about incorporating that. I also want to put a shout out here for anthologies. So you're not worried about, Miss Angie, we missed last week. We didn't do chapter 2. Think about short stories. so that every week you read just the short story. It'll get them interested in the book. You could also do scary stories. You could do jokes every week. You could do puzzles. You could read nonfiction. You don't have to read Harry Potter and then they miss one chapter and don't know what happened in it. I loved Ancestor Approved because they're connected short stories. They all take place at a tribal powwow in Michigan. So they're connected, but they're independent. So if you miss 1 week of Lunch Bunch, it's okay. Come next week. So I love that kind of idea. Everybody just come to the park. I'm going to read you a story and then I'll put the hula hoops out and you can hula hoop for 40 minutes until you pass out. So that kind of idea of Lunch Bunch in the park. I know we've all worked on this. I want you to really consider about what you're sending home and what you're spending money on. You can buy bulk canvases. They're not the greatest, but you can buy bulk canvases from the Dollar Tree. You can buy these paint pots, you know, and I want you to think about process art. Process art is where you just send them home with the stuff and they do it on their own. Not every part of this needs to be then you do this and you do this and you do this and it looks exactly like this. So much of these kids' lives this past year has been this. And if we can give them a little bit of like, you know what? Here's a bag of doodads. Just do it, man. Just do it. Here's a bag of pipe cleaners and tin foil and just make something. Just make some art. It doesn't have to, just make some art. Just do it. Also, you've heard me say this a million times. I think investing in class packs, I know they are expensive, but you give these out. I think this is just as useful to the kids in your community as paying to have a performer come or paying for something fancy. You give a kid a bag of brand new crayons. Is there literally anything better in the world? No. And then you have it all in the bag. The class packs, they're an expensive thing, but we would invest in these. The library I worked out once or twice a year, and we would serve hundreds of kids out of the class packs, right? So you can buy these from any school supply store. You can buy them on Amazon. You can look for deals on them. But even typing in the word class pack can be really effective. And my personal favorite, art picture books. These are some of my favorite art picture books. And I'm going to show you ways that you can use them. Yo-Yo Kusama, there's a sculpture of hers in Des Moines. Diego Rivera, again, you're going to get this whole slideshow so you can come back to these books. But different kinds of art. Philip Friend was an architect. Mary Blair did tons of the background artwork for Disney. Disney movies and Disneyland would not look the same way without Mary Blair, and she's essentially been erased from their story because of sexism. Different kinds of art. You know, architecture is an art. If you love to build things, if you have a dream of how buildings should look, that's art too, right? That's self-expression. So many different kinds of art. Drawing on walls, contemporary art, graffiti art, modern art. This book, I'm obsessed with this book, you guys, Flying Paintings. This book is a biography of two of the greatest modern artists of all time, in my opinion. They live in Chicago. They illustrated it themselves. They illustrated their own picture book biography. When this is over, I'm going to Chicago to visit their studio. It's one of my life goals of living in the Midwest. The Zhao brothers, amazing. Obama had to make a painting for China with the state visit. You should see it. It's amazing. Anyway, they illustrated their own picture book biography. What? Okay. My all-time favorite artist, I could never pick, but I love Jackson Pollock. So I did this program with kids based on the book Action Jackson by Shirley Greenberg and Jan Greenberg and Sandra, I can't remember her last name. And we made Jackson Pollock art. That's me holding up Action Jackson. That's my feet after I walked to do the paint. It looks like a real Pollock. The kids loved it. At the end, they were like, can we just smear the paint on here? And I said, yes, because as we learned in the book, that is what Jackson Pollock did. Let's make a Jackson Pollock picture. We just flicked the paint on there. They each had their own paper. We flicked it on there. This is perfect for outdoor stuff. This is made for outdoor programming. So many artists. There's hundreds of artist biographies. And guess what? The bibliography is full of them, and you can always ask me for answers. My last one, I love this, of hidden ideas of this. I got this idea from the manual. I want you to remember all of this stuff is in the manual. This hidden image art, if you buy cellophane and write code. And then when I saw that idea, so this is why I love the guide, okay? I saw this idea in the guide, and then I was like, what if you turned it into a program about spies around the globe? right? So like, what if you took this idea of doing, you made a take and make of having him hidden image art, but then the whole week was about like different locations around the world, like spies, like Carmen Sandiego, which by the way, did you know Carmen Sandiego is back? Totally is. They have choose your own adventure books about her too. Carmen Sandiego is totally back. So what if you made a spy program and the spy was like all around the world? Like this week, figure out what the destination is. That's why I love the guide. And I want you to all refer to the guide. That hidden image art, as soon as I saw that, I was like, boom, I have a program idea from this hidden image art. Love it. Also, that's just a great little thing that you could do. And literally it's the markers and the cellophane. Okay. That was a lot. I'm sorry. That was too much. Was that too much? That felt like it was too much. Let's break out again.
Okay. I've got 4 rooms. I think we should have new people in each room. So get ready to chat away. And we'll be back in about 12 minutes. We have time for that.
I think that worked.
Okay. But we're going to have to do the next 2.
Okay. We're all back.
We're going to have to go fast.
Okay, we're going to go fast. My group was great. I talked the whole time. No, one of the things they were drawn, somebody mentioned the Olympics, to use the Olympics, and you could also tie in with the global literature that way and the global display. We really like that. Several of us are doing rock painting with community volunteers, doing it as a take and make, but also doing look around. Don had the really great idea for a subscription box called Eat to Explore, which has food from all over the world. And we had all kind of heard of that before, and they're going to use it as a program, but we also talked about a way that you could use it as a giveaway. Like you could say you're going to win this box. The box is from China. It's got Chinese snacks and food in it, and you would only have to buy one, and then you could do it as a giveaway. And we also just talked about book clubs for this age and what books we might do with them. So
I'd like to go next because I really have to use the facilities. So I'm going to chime in and then I'm going to take a step away. But we had some great ideas, partnerships with, the zoo, insect club, those kinds of things, bubble programming, obviously. One really fun one was someone had someone from their hometown who now is part of a lion and tiger rescue down in Texas, who's going to make a video for the library to share with kids. Another fun one I thought for this age group was taking the color theme and kind of breaking it out week by week, instead of maybe like this is all, we're doing a rainbow week or something, but this week is Go Green. So we're going to spend time watering plants or planting a tree. We're going to do red, READ, orange, you glad you came to the library. Lots of great kind of weekly themed. Another idea we had was someone was going to have students from the local archery club come, and someone else mentioned like, well, why not have them shoot paint-filled water balloons instead of just shoot regular targets, so you can kind of make some art and see a new kind of sport. And then sort of a sit, climb, explore was I think the name of Olivia's program, where you get different colored vehicles from around the community, a green tractor, a red fire truck, a blue police car, a yellow backhoe, whatever, and park them in one parking lot, and take the keys out, and then sort of let the kids go crazy. So, and lots of great books that go along with that program as well.
Awesome. Marianne?
So we talked about the fact that this age group does love nonfiction. So don't hesitate to use nonfiction as your titles of focus. And Angie did mention some good titles too. Also, colors are featured in Lego, and superheroes, sports teams, race cars. These are all things that appeal to this age group. Tie-dye shirts was mentioned as a good activity for this age group. And there's also the discussion about having personalized art kits. If you have the same people coming to your programs from week to week, make a packet of their own art supplies, their crayons, their scissors, their paints, their glue stick, add a hole punch, and have it at the library so that from week to week, they come back and use the same set. So you don't have to worry about people sharing stuff that way. Just for COVID considerations, that was a good idea. Also, doing outdoor programming, talk with your Parks and Rec department, because Jen from Slater talked about how they did outdoor programming, full-blown in-person programming even last year by having it at the park in their pavilion. The Parks and Rec brought picnic tables from all over the place and had picnic tables for each family. They put the books on a PowerPoint so they could project them on a screen so people could see. They had invested in the outdoor, the voice amplification microphone system. And then they invested in an inflatable screen this year, hoping it will be a little more stable. And this would be a good project because they are a little on the pricey side for some of our libraries, but invest in it as a county-wide activity, whether that's with showing a movie or getting the screen. See what you can do with the other librarians in your county. And I think those were the main thing. Oh, the fun thing was that one librarian did bed sheet painting and had bed sheets in the park, and it was full body painting. So paint with your elbow, paint with your nose, paint with your toes. And then they let those dry and they hung them up on the side of the library so the kids could drive by and see them then.
Yeah, and I will cover, I have some of those too, but Becky.
All right, we really got into the art stuff. We had some really great ideas. Upcycling, huge for this age group. You know, finding things around the house, finding things around the city, things like strawberry baskets, and doing some real intricate things with those. One that was described that I'm just fascinated with, Chihuly glass project, where you take the bottles and do the paint. Oh, that sounded really, really cool. Roberta and Bonaparte is very lucky to be in a building that has two artists. And so one of the local artists came down and actually built a painting with the kids that were in the room there, and they talked her through, and then she writes a story with them about this painting that they did. Talking about a week-long art camp where you use some high school kids to come in and actually do a camp with the kids. I really liked cookies and canvas. I think we didn't get into this, but sort of a play on the wine art that some of us do as adults. You know, have them do a canvas and take a cookie break and come back and finish your canvas, and then shaving cream art as well. So that was what we came up with.
And I'm going to say, one thing I'm going to say now is, literally, if you have not downloaded the guide, I would love to hear from you in the chat. If you have looked at the guide, there are 183, I counted, there's 183 pages of ideas in the programming chapter, in the crafts chapter. There's 183 ideas. They are all from in-practice librarians, many of them who've already done them at their library. They include recipes for the paint. They include recipes for the whole thing. That's not even counting the bibliography, 183 pages. Okay. Like I couldn't even begin to describe them all. So here's the follow-up. Sam, this is my idea. I do the 12 to 18 in the family programs, and we do one last breakout room. Okay, let's do it. I'm sorry. Sam and everybody else will help in the chat. I'm going to go back to presenting. I'm sorry, I'm ruining everything already. It's great. It's fine. Everything's going fine. Everything's going cool. It's cool. It's fine. This is cool. Okay. This is 12 to 18 and families. Let's do this. You guys, there are so many YA books about food. There are so many YA books about food. I Love You So Mochi by Sarah Kuhn. This is about a girl who goes to Japan and falls in love. Oh my gosh, I know you never saw it coming. There's so much great stuff about Japanese food in this. You could read this book, have the book club, and then it's hard to make mochi, but you could eat mochi. You could eat other Japanese snacks. I'm obsessed with this book. This is The Music of What Happens by Bill Koinsberg. It is an amazing love story about two boys who, against all odds, fall in love one summer while they're working in a food truck together. It's so cute. They make cloud eggs in it. The cloud eggs are a huge part of it, but so is running the food truck, which sucks. They make it look like it would be fun to run a food truck. It's not. And they're total opposites attract. They fall in love. Amazing, adorable, but also, just as an aside, this book has a serious discussion of male on male sexual assault. It is very rare in YA to have boys be able to talk about their feelings and their emotions and their consent in this way. It is one of my favorite YA books the past couple of years. It's great. And also I tried to make cloud eggs and it went real bad. It looks easy, but it's hard. I'm obsessed with this one. This is a collection of short stories that are all about food. It's called Hungry Hearts, and it's about food and love from all different cultures. I think there are so many possible activities from this. And I love this idea that like how your food, I'm Italian. I'm Italian, and how we tell you we love you is through food. I cannot be any clearer. So I love this. I also think, again, you could do one of these a week. You could pick a country. You could pick a cuisine. You could say next week we're doing India, and we're going to talk about Indian food, and we're going to read this story. I think there's so much buildable in here. There's so many YA books about food, and so many of them are global, and they describe world food in like the most interesting and great ways. So I think there's so much here to build program-wise in YA. There's also tons of YA books about artists. This is Blood, Water, and Paint, a YA novel in verse about Artemisia, who in the 1600s as a teenage girl was raped. And she took the man who raped her to court and said that he did it. And then she spent the rest of her life painting pictures of women violently killing men. No, she did other stuff too. It's a novel in verse. You will read it in one sitting. There's a line in this that I think of all the time, which is, I will show you what a woman can do. Love it. Love it. Love it. This is a true story, but it's told in this YA novel in verse. If you're looking at it right now, I hope you see her body in the canvas. When you first look, you don't notice that the cover is a body. So good. An Art of Ravens. This is fantasy, where an artist accidentally paints the king of the fairies looking all too human. So he kidnaps her and he takes her to the land of fairy. And then can you guess what happens? They fall in love, you guys. It's great. Okay. So many YA books about artists. There's a ton of them in the bibliography. I love programs for this age, I'm sorry, that are competition based, where you offer them at the end a gift certificate that encourage them to do their own thing, but in competition with each other. In the craft chapter, oh, look at this. It's so cool. Design a foam head. The foam heads are expensive. Okay. So you could also have them all design like a mask. You could have something where they all compete against each other. This is a link to a library in Alabama that did this amazing teen photograph challenge. So great. I think challenge isn't always great when you're saying who can read more books, but when you're encouraging them to submit this kind of like this program where they're doing it in dialogue with each other, you can print them up, you can display the winners, you can use them in library promotion. So you're getting something out of it too. If you don't have a gift card, you can say the winner is going to be made into the library's poster. The winner is going to be framed and hung up in the library. There's so many of this kind of thing to kind of encourage them, to encourage this age cohort to compete in this way. But for this age cohort, I also want to really stress they are still kids. So this, especially as an age cohort, I want you to think about messes this summer. I really want you to think about messes. This is on the right is Sigourney Public Library. That's eggshell painting. They filled up the eggs with paint and they let them throw it. And you guys, teenagers need this after this year. They need it. They need to make a mess. They need to express this because they really need to have fun, you guys. They need to have fun. They are really going through it. I know we're all going through it. I know, but we have better coping skills as adults. They're really going through it. We really want to give them opportunities to hang out, to have fun. We don't want to get lost in the weeds of this summer of like, did you check this box and did you fill this out? We just want to hang out. We just want to give them a chance to hang out, right? And so that's what I really want you to think of when you're thinking about this age group. Think about ways you can have a hangout, even where you're like, I'm going to turn on the Zoom and you guys can all hang out and Zoom with each other. And I'm officially organizing it. They need an adult to say it's officially organized. They've stopped hanging out virtually. They've kind of doodled off. This is a time to try to bring them back together at the library and kind of give them this fun. It's okay to make a mess. It's okay to talk about mochi and it's okay to just be, you know, we really can give them that this summer. There was going to be the breakout just because I love that art, but we're going to go on to the all ages programming. The great activity, the idea of this, we don't have to do it entirely in the library. This can be around your town. They can do it on their own time, on their own schedule. It's workable if you have grandkids who are visiting. If you have a 12-year-old and your 7-year-old, This is the kind of activities we're thinking about. And I would love to hear from you about what you have that's like this. Like, what is it? What is something you have here? I know so many of you, because you're in small libraries, you're so good at this. Like, you do this like on instinct. You do this in ways the big libraries like struggle. Like, I could never do that. And you just do it. You just push everybody together in a group. That is your superpower and your strength. It's why you're awesome. Okay. And that's the kind of thing we're thinking about this summer. Okay, I saw this in one of my hiking groups. I'm obsessed with it. It was on the trail. They bought these, they had rubbing, they had made panels and they had left them on the trail and encouraged kids to do rubbings. And I then was inspired because, as you know, my entire life is, everything I see in my life is, how could I do that at the library? It's worked out great for my hobbies and stuff. And so I thought, what if you bought these rubbing plates and you left them at like stores around town, or you left them at like on the trail, because they only cost you like $15. So who cares if you lost them at the end of the summer or whatever? And you encourage kids to like walk around and collect textures in rubbing books. You made a bag that was about that. Things to do or things to observe around town. We hung up hearts and we want you to count the hearts in the library window. We hung up hearts and there's colors that changes every week. Things that go from week to week around town, that is on the trail, that's in the park. You could change them once a month. You could change one all summer. I was obsessed with the rubbings, so into them. I think it was in like central Iowa or north central Iowa, somewhere I never go, but I could go. Love it. Color hunts, garden hunts, things that change every week. This is again from the guide, because the guide is amazing. The guide is so good. Why are you listening to me run my stupid mouth and you can just listen to the guide? I also want to say red and yellow mixed together make blank. Where can this crayon be found? Because nothing rhymes with orange. It's cool. Find the color of things we use to bite. The color of snow, the color is, and then you have a white crayon hiding in the library, or you make that the riddle of the week. And if they tell you the answer, they get something. I think there's so much to build around this in color. And again, you could do, if you're looking for a flower of that color, so many different ways around color that you could do it. If you're not looking to have them in the building, you could have it be around the library. You could have it be in the window of the library. You could have it be on the sidewalk of the library if you're not looking to have them be in the building for long periods of time. Art is perfect for this kind of interaction. I want to show you this broken crayon gallery from this. I know it's so long, but I want to show you this broken crayon gallery from this artist. I love this, and it speaks deeply to my soul. So she is a children's book artist, and she broke a crayon. And then from there, she was like, what if I made this like a thing? That's a kid swimming in a pool out of a blue one. A drip creature. I love this. I love it. And also, what I love about this, she made so many different, like, look at that one. I love that one. And so what she has with it too, the lemur coming out of it, it turned into a book. They made it into a book. Gerpel and Preen, they wrote a book. And she made this guide. Choose a crayon, break it, glue it, create. Write about your creation. Who is it? Write a poem about it. What happens next? I love that. This is perfect for all ages. This is Jarrett Lerner. This page is incredible. It's all activities and stuff. Draw this comic. Finish this comic. Drawing prompts. What's hanging on this moose antlers? Draw something. What are these mice reaching for? What did this raccoon find in the trash? Give this pig a name. It's obviously Ernest. Why would you even have to ask? We're looking for chalk. We're looking for things that people can do in their own time, their own space. Story walks, a storyline where they call in and get a story, drive-in story times. If you want to learn more about that, we have recorded kernels from librarians who are doing storylines and drive-in story times coming soon, so you can learn from them. We're looking for ways to be together without physically being together, or even ways that we can keep, as they say, spaces in our togetherness. And now let's do it. Let's do our last breakout room. Then we'll come back and say goodbye.
That was short.
Yeah.
It was 2 minutes shorter, but we also are coming down to the wire on time here. My tummy says it's lunchtime.
Yeah, I'm sorry, everyone. As per usual, it was a mess and a disaster. You're welcome.
No, it was a
Please,
lesson
no,
learned.
stop. No. Don't do that. That makes
Here
it
we
worse.
go.
That makes it worse.
Okay,
Plow ahead.
recap.
I mean, we talked about where you would get your supplies from it. We talked about working with the extension office, and that's it for us. And it's hard to connect with teens, and we're going to keep trying.
We talked some about connecting with teens too, the importance of food in teen programmings, and even just this idea that, like, what if I just, the program is the food? Like, I'm not going to plan a lot of other stuff, just come, be, do at the library. We also talked about the importance of trying to sort of scaffold things when you've got, a limited amount of time and energy and resources, especially in a small library, that you're really doing things that can appeal to multiple ages, and you're not going to sink a whole bunch of time into one age group when you may or may not even have people come. Someone shared in chat, they've got a community-wide Chalk the Walk event going that they're going to participate in, which I think sounds really good. And then Jackbox games for teens is going to be, could be a fun thing to roll out this summer, especially if we're still virtually programming.
There's a person on my porch. I'll be right back.
We talked about how art is popular with teens and really just about any age. So the manual has a lot of good ideas, as one of our librarians pointed out. Jen from Slater said the manual talks about making stained glass, and she is going to use old overhead transparencies that are back in a storage room at her library. She's found a good new use for those, making stained glass pictures. Possibility of using old frames to frame them, and if you need old frames, put out an appeal to your community. Hey, we need these. Had an old frame sitting around. Another librarian had an idea from the manual, and that was about coloring for service members, and families can come in and color pictures, and they're going to send those to service members. Also, movie licenses, check with your movie license company, because a lot of them have extended those to be usable outdoors. So check with your movie license company about that.
We also talked about the struggles in getting that 12 to 18 age group. And so I tried to sort of focus us on some of the family things. And it was really interesting. Had a couple of people who talked about the fact that in their small town, the family stuff doesn't work as well because the parents want a drop-off place. They don't want to necessarily participate with their kids. This is something I want to send my kids to you so I can go do something else, which really puts a struggle, I think, for an actual time limited one. But then at the very end, we talked about those sort of community-wide treasure hunts, find the hearts in the windows, or the dog that's all around town. So I think that's a really great way, again, getting kids outside, getting families doing things together. I like the community treasure hunts.
Sorry, there was someone cleaning leaves off my porch, and I thought I was going to be murdered. Okay, okay, we're going to just close now. Get it? Color outside the lines. It's a joke. Okay, here's our contact information.
You got to share, Ange.
Oh, yeah, I made a joke. Nobody saw it. It's cool. It's really, there's nothing to see. Okay. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for coming. No, that's pretty much it. This is Emily's contact information I included just in case you have questions about the Canva.
Still not sharing, huh?
I'm not seeing it.
I am. I literally said share. Okay, it's fine. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I swear I said share. least twice. One time I didn't, let's be real. Okay. It's still a summer unknown. See color outside the lines. It was a joke there that I did. It was like a pun. Okay. I put Emily's contact information if you have questions about the Canva documents, but please just like mess with them. I think that's the easiest way to kind of get used to them. This is my contact information. I'm sorry. But I want to say thank you to Becky and Sam and Marianne for helping and salvage some part of this. And I'm done talking now. This time I mean it.